"Sell me these roses in Arabic and I'll pay you $100,000, the millionaire mocked, then froze in shock. It was one of those mornings that didn't promise much: a gray sky, a lazy breeze, and the faint hum of the city waking up. On a quiet corner of a busy street in Dubai, a boy of maybe 14 stood barefoot beside a small wooden cart, its wheels wobbling beneath the weight of a few buckets filled with red roses. His clothes were worn thin, and his eyes, tired but kind, reflected both hope and hunger. Each petal that glistened under the early sunlight carried the fragrance of a dream he couldn't yet afford. People passed him by, too hurried or too proud to notice a child selling beauty for survival. But fate, as it often does, was watching. If you believe in kindness, in second chances, and in the power of one simple act to change a life, then take a second right now to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Royal Stories. Because what you're about to hear is not just a story, it's a reminder that miracles sometimes wear the face of the forgotten. The boy's name was Amir. He had come from a small village in Syria, carrying only a few things: a photograph of his mother, a pocket-sized Quran, and a heart that refused to give up. Every day, he stood by that same streetlight, whispering soft greetings to strangers, his voice blending with the city noise. "Roses, sir. Beautiful roses for your loved ones." But most people ignored him. Some gave him a glance of pity. Others, irritation. Yet he smiled through it all, because his late mother once told him, "Amir, every rose you give will one day bring you one step closer to your own garden." That morning, a convoy of black cars rolled to a slow stop at the nearby intersection. From one of them stepped a tall man in an expensive suit, his wristwatch gleaming brighter than the sunlight itself. He was one of Dubai's youngest millionaires, Adam Khalil, a man known for his ruthless business acumen and sharp tongue. His company owned several luxury brands, and he had grown famous online for flaunting his wealth and mocking those less fortunate. When he saw the barefoot boy holding out a rose toward him, he smirked. Adam had seen countless beggars and street vendors before. To him, they were all the same, people who didn't try hard enough. He looked at the boy and said something to his assistant in English, chuckling as if the child were part of a joke. The boy didn't understand the words, but he understood the tone. It burned. He lowered his hand, embarrassed, but still whispered in broken Arabic, "Please, sir, buy one flower. Just one. They're fresh today." Adam turned toward him fully then, pulling out his phone and recording. "All right," he said loudly, "let's make a deal. If you can sell me these roses in Arabic, perfect Arabic, I'll give you $100,000. His assistant laughed nervously, unsure whether the boss was serious or just showing off. The boy blinked, confused. He didn't speak much Arabic. His mother had been teaching him before she died, but they fled before he could finish learning. Still, he tried. His words stumbled, his accent cracked, and Adam laughed cruelly. People began to stare. A few filmed with their phones. The boy's face flushed red, but he held his roses close to his chest as though protecting something sacred. "I'm sorry, sir," he whispered. "I can't say it right." Adam scoffed, waved his hand dismissively, and turned away. The light turned green, and the line of cars began to move. The boy stood motionless, feeling the tears sting his eyes, watching his small hope vanish into the roar of engines. But fate wasn't done with either of them. Later that day, Adam had a meeting at a new construction site. As his car slowed near a narrow alley, a sudden sound of screeching brakes filled the air. A truck lost control on the wet road, sliding straight toward his car. Adam barely had time to react before the vehicle spun sideways, crashing into a lamp post. The windshield shattered. For a moment, all he could hear was his own heartbeat, thundering in his ears. And through the haze of smoke and dust, he saw movement, a figure running toward him. It was Amir. The boy, who had been selling roses nearby, saw the accident happen. Without hesitation, he threw down his flowers and sprinted into danger. He pulled at the car door, shouting for help, coughing through the smoke. When Adam came to his senses, the first thing he saw was that same boy's face, dirty, trembling, but determined. "Sir, hold my hand," Amir shouted in Arabic this time, broken but clear enough to understand. His small hands gripped Adam's arm, pulling him out through the broken window just before the car began to catch fire. The boy dragged him away from the flames and sat beside him on the curb. Adam coughed, dazed, staring at the child who had just risked his life for him, the same boy he'd mocked only hours ago. And then, amid the chaos, the boy picked up a crushed rose from the ground, its stem bent, petals torn. He looked at it sadly and said softly, "Even broken flowers can still have a scent." Those words hit Adam harder than the crash ever could. For the first time in years, something inside him cracked. The arrogance, the coldness, the pride. All gone, melting in the warmth of a child's compassion. Later at the hospital, he learned more about Amir from local volunteers. The boy slept in an abandoned shed near the marketplace. He sold roses every day to buy food and send a little money to his grandmother back home. He didn't beg. He worked, quietly, humbly, believing one day he would open a flower shop of his own. Adam couldn't believe it. A boy with nothing had shown more strength than he had with everything. The next morning, Adam visited Amir at the small shelter where he was resting. Without his usual entourage, he looked like a different man. No cameras, no arrogance, just quiet gratitude. He sat beside Amir's bed and placed a check on the table. $100,000, he said gently, his voice trembling. "Not because you sold me the roses, but because you taught me what they mean." The boy stared, speechless. Adam smiled faintly. "You don't need to speak perfect Arabic, Amir. Your heart already speaks the language of kindness." From that day forward, Adam changed. He shut down some of his luxury projects and invested in programs that supported street children and small vendors. And as for Amir, his dream finally bloomed. With Adam's help, he opened a little flower shop called Roses of Hope. The walls were painted in soft gold, and on the front door hung a small sign written in both English and Arabic, "Even broken flowers can still have a scent." Years later, the story of the boy and the millionaire spread across the internet, touching hearts worldwide. People began to visit the flower shop, not just to buy roses, but to feel something, the warmth of redemption, the echo of compassion, the reminder that kindness can rise from the ashes of pride. If this story touched your heart, please take a moment to like, share, and subscribe to Royal Stories. Your support helps us bring more true and emotional tales of humanity and hope to light.